it's okay. I think I'll go on the stage because I'm a little vertically challenged. 11 Madison Park became the #1 restaurant in the world by serving their clients a New York City street hot dog. It sounds impossible, doesn't it? Unreasonable. And actually, the owner of 11 Madison Park said it was unreasonable hospitality that caused him to become the #1 restaurant in the world. I'll tell you a little bit more about that fantastic story later and how hospitality, no matter what business you're in, can actually become your #1 competitive advantage. But first, I just want to say I am delighted to be in a room full of women and men supporting women. As a founder of a leadership consulting firm who specializes in communication and leadership, I'm in a lot of rooms where women are not supporting women, and I just find this incredibly refreshing. And I'm also so excited because I think women really understand the importance of hospitality in business. So I really do believe hospitality can be the one thing that no one else can copy that we can do. A little bit of the backstory about how me and my partners, Carrie, that you'll hear from later, and Jung, who's the reason that we're here, the reason we became certified to coach and teach this concept, hospitality for me goes way back. I originally came from the cosmetic industry. I worked for amazing brands like Clinique. I worked with MAC, Tom Ford Beauty, Bumble and Bumble. And in those jobs, I was head of education, and I was responsible to actually teach people to serve people better. And so my ideas around service were largely shaped by this book, and many of you may not be able to see it, but it's called Setting the Table, and it's by Danny Meyer. Has anyone ever been to any of the Union Square hospitality restaurants? Union Square Cafe, I see some hands, Gramercy Tavern, maybe you know a little restaurant called Shake Shack. And Danny Meyer really believed in hospitality. But he believed that hospitality is best when you treat your employees with hospitality first. He believes the way you treat your team is the way your team will treat your client. And so he actually believes that so much that he said he could tell what his guest experience would be like just by looking at how the employees were treating one another. So he was really my hospitality and my service hero. He formed a lot of my thinking. But then in about 2022, many of my clients were saying, have you read the book Unreasonable Hospitality? And I'm like, I don't care about that. I love Danny Meyer. He's my hero. But they kept buzzing about it so much that eventually I read it. And I learned that Will Guidara had actually worked for Danny Meyer. And so much of what he learned was from him, but he took his ideas and made them even a little more modern for today. So I could tell you Will's story about the hot dog, but I think he tells it better than I do. So I have a short video clip for you. He was recently on the Oprah podcast that I'm obsessed with. So let's listen to Will and how the hot dog made a difference for him.
Okay, so let's start with the story of the family who comes in. They're on their way back to Europe. This is their last restaurant they're visiting in New York. And you overhear them say,
Yes. So I'm in the dining room clearing dirty plates at this table. It was a table of 4. They were foodies on vacation to New York just to eat at great restaurants. And this is their last meal. They're literally going straight to the airport, and they're raving about their trip. They'd been to Le Bernardin and Jean-Georges and Danielle and Per Se. And if everyone in this room doesn't know what those restaurants are, just trust in how fancy they sound. They're the good ones.
Yes, Danielle.
And now 11 Madison Park, trip of a lifetime. But then one woman jumps in and said, yeah, but you know what we never got to have was a New York City hot dog. And it was one of those light bulb moments. And I dropped off the plates, ran outside of the hot dog cart, bought a hot dog, ran back into the kitchen. Then came the hard part, convincing my chef to serve it. But I asked him to trust me, and eventually he cut it up into 4 perfect pieces, putting one on each plate with a little swish of ketchup, one of mustard, a quenelle of sauerkraut, a little scoop of relish, and I think he topped it off with like a micro herb to make it look fancy. And then before their final savory course, which at the time was our honey lavender glazed Muscovy duck that had been dry aged for 2 weeks, I brought out what we in New York call a dirty water dog to the table. And I explained it. I said, hey, I overheard you talking. We could not let you go home with any regrets. Here's that New York City hot dog. And they freaked out. I've been working in restaurants my entire life. I'd served tens of millions of dollars worth of Wagyu beef and lobster and caviar, and yet I can confidently say that I had never seen anyone react to anything I'd served them like they did to that hot dog.
To that hot dog, yes.
Wow. So Will differentiates between service and hospitality. He says service is what you do in your business. Hospitality is how you make people feel. So some examples of that, if you're a car dealership, service is having the car ready when we come to pick it up. But hospitality would be marking that really cool moment by maybe taking a photo of you with your new car and sending you a framed photograph. In the financial services industry, service is getting you a good return on your investment. But hospitality is what my financial advisor, Anil, does when the market is going crazy. He calls me to like calm me off the ledge, right? In a hotel, service is cleaning your room. But last week I was in a hotel and I left my glasses on the nightstand. They were a little dirty. They left me a glass cleansing cloth right next to my glasses. Made me feel so special. So what is hospitality in your business? What is service in your business? What is hospitality? I'm actually going to give you 1 minute in just a second to speak to somebody right next to you and try to think of that. What is service? What is hospitality? But what I do want to do is when it's time to come back together, I don't want to yell over you. So I'm just going to raise my hand. And when I raise my hand, can you all also raise your hand? And when your hand goes up, can the bottom part of your jaw also come up? And then we'll come back and have one conversation. So just talk to one other person. What is hospitality in your business? 1 minute. Sure. Sure. What do you want? Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I know a minute goes by very quickly. Thank you. All right. So how did Will Gadara do it? How did he provide hospitality at a restaurant? So here's his 3 secrets. So we got the hand part right. Yeah. Okay. All right. So Will did it by doing this. First, he identified every single touch point that his customers engaged with his restaurant, from before they got there, when they were there, after they left. Booking a reservation, coming into the front door, being seated. He thought of every single thing. Most companies can think of about 20 touch points, and there's actually about 150. And if you get that granular and think of every single touch point you have with your client, then you can get creative and think about how you elevate the hospitality. Then that's where the magic comes. But Will didn't tell his team, this is how you're going to provide unreasonable hospitality. He actually closed the restaurant and invited his entire team to brainstorm and dream with him. And that got them engaged. Remember what Danny Meyer said, the way you treat your team is the way they treat their client. And so that's what Will did. He he involved them and they got engaged, and they got even more engaged because they realized when you make people feel good, that feels good. So if you have customers, you're in the hospitality business too. You don't have to own a restaurant. And if you're interested in learning more, which I hope you are, there's a couple of ways. One is read his book. It really is as great as my clients were saying. You can listen to it on audio. He also did a TED Talk, if you want the quick version. About 700,000 people have actually listened to it now. We're also doing a workshop in New York. We have a QR code. We'll give you a 10% discount if you want to come, or if you just want to learn more about it, click the QR code on the right. Either way, we'd be happy to share information with you. But I'd like to close by reading my favorite quote from the book. Will says in the book, we have an opportunity, a responsibility to create magic in a world that desperately needs more of it. Thank you.